So one of the first things that happens after you've been in a wreck is the insurance calls you, and they're going to ask you a lot of questions, and you're not going to be in the right frame of mind to answer these questions. You're going to be in shock. You're going to be worried about your car, about your injuries, about your family, about your job. It's really important to be prepared for how to answer these questions with the insurance company. The first thing to think about is you do not want to give them any information whatsoever about your injuries. The reason for that is they're going to ask you these questions now before your injuries have developed, before you have any idea of what your injuries really are. And the reason is that they're trying to set what's called a reserve. A reserve is a ceiling that the adjuster will place on the value of your case, and that adjuster, once the reserve is set, won't be able to go above that ceiling. So if we find out later that your injury is worse than we think it is, if you have more injuries than we think, if conservative treatment isn't going to work and you're going to require further treatment, and then we try to go above that reserve with the insurance adjuster, we're going to have problems. So it's very important not to discuss your injuries whatsoever with the insurance company. The second thing is you do need to talk to them about the property damage, the damage to your vehicle. And in order to do that, they're going to ask you questions about how the wreck happened. Again, it's very important that you don't over talk. Don't exaggerate, but also don't give too many specifics. Things happen so fast in a collision that you might think for sure that something happened at a certain speed or a certain time or a certain way, but then when you look back, that may not be exactly how it happened. It just felt like that to you at the time. Well, they're going to record your conversation about how the collision happened, and for instance, say that you were positive that the collision happened at 45, 55 miles an hour, and you say that, and then that's written down and transcribed, and then they get an accident reconstructionist to show that the wreck happened at 35 miles an hour. It opens you up to be painted as an exaggerator or as someone who's not being honest about how the collision happened. So it's very, very important not to name specifics. Just tell them generally how it happened and what you recall. And while you're avoiding specifics, you also need to avoid guessing. If you don't know for sure the answer to a question you're being asked, do not guess. One of the most common questions is, how fast was the other car going? Or how far away from you were they when you first saw them? Again, things happen so fast that your guesstimate is going to come back later to haunt you. If you weren't sitting behind the speedometer of the person that hit you, you don't know how fast they were going. The only thing that you know is what you were doing. So don't guess. It is a perfectly correct answer to say, I don't know, I don't recall, I'm not sure. Just make sure that you don't guess. The final point is to make sure that you are nice to the adjuster. This is going to be hard because you're agitated, you've been in a collision, you're upset, and you're stressed. But keep in mind that this person is going to be the person that follows your case until it settles or goes to a jury trial. And you want them to know that you're a reasonable person. You want them to know that we'll risk putting you in front of a jury because a jury is going to like you. A judge is going to like you. And so it's very important to be nice and give that impression to the insurance adjuster.